It's the People Yearbook 95. Tonight, the creators of the world's most popular magazine pick their favorite stories and people of the year. It's all here. The triumphs, the trials, the travesties, bewitching memories, and bewildering tragedies. A year for heroes and legends. It was a year of new hope and old glory. Relive it all with your host, Paula Zahn, featuring a candid visit with Hillary Rodham Clinton, with guest appearances by Mary Tyler Moore, Nicole Kidman, Courtney Cox, Edward James Olmos, Monica Seles, Dennis Franz, Drew Carey, Bonnie Hunt, Veronica Webb, and Jonathan Silverman.
What kind of a year was 1995? It was the year of OJ, Marsha, Chris, and Johnny, Monica, Diana, Brad, and Hootie. And People magazine did what it always does. It brought us the stories of the very human beings behind the headlines. So if you want to know the best stories of the year in People, you might start as we did and bring together the experts, the people who write and edit People, for a no-holds-barred session to pick their favorites. For this, the first televised edition of the People Yearbook.
Who were the big winners this year?
Very big year for Alicia Silverstone.
What's up, Daddy?
What the hell is that?
A dress.
Says who?
Calvin Klein.
Clueless, she stole it. John Travolta, what a fabulous story. What about Jim Carrey?
Super huge winner. Anybody that makes $20 million for making funny faces into a camera and acting like a complete idiot is a winner.
I think Monica Seles is a big winner this year.
Right. It's one thing to come back after tragedy. It's another thing to come back and be #2 in a Grand Slam event.
Can I just say that I think one of the biggest winners of this year is Hugh Grant. He was human. He made a mistake. He owned up to it. He did it in a charming way. He was clearly embarrassed, and he was clearly hurt about what he had done. I think
Would you have taken him back if he had been your boyfriend?
If he had been my boyfriend, he wouldn't have done that.
One woman who shouldn't have to worry about her man straying is Nicole Kidman. Not only did Mrs. Tom Cruise top the People Best Dressed list, she starred in this year's box office champ, Batman Forever. And she finally achieved top billing as the world's wickedest weather woman in To Die For. So what does a movie star do when she reaches the top? She keeps working hard and tries to have a life, too. People editor Karen Schneider caught up with Nicole Kidman on location in England.
I think it's important that you live in places that are relaxed. So when you're traveling a lot, that you try to maintain as much tranquility in your life as you can, because it can get pretty out of control.
One thing Nicole Kidman does have in control is her career. The Australian-born beauty plays an American in the Henry James classic Portrait of a Lady. Meanwhile, she's on the short list for an Oscar as Susan Stone, the murderous meteorologist.
Today is a hot one.
In Gus Van Sant's To Die For.
I've read that you sat in a motel for 3 days and watched daytime TV with Tom at your side eating junk food and screaming at the TV, and that was how you prepared for it.
We mainly watched the talk shows, and it was amazing, the effect, the hypnotic effect of these talk shows have on you.
There were these women, you know, on the Sally Jesse Raphael show the other day. And they were all wearing disguises so that their husbands couldn't find them, and they were living in shelters, and I thought I could go and live in one of them.
You get drawn in, and suddenly these people really become important to you, yelling at the television, and that was an amazing discovery for me, because I'd always sort of been, oh, well, how can you sort of take that seriously or ever deal with it? But it showed me the way Suzanne Stone, obviously, television is her life.
You're not anybody in America unless you're on TV.
It's really nice to have the opportunity of playing something like Suzanne, who's so wicked in a way.
I'm a professional person, for sake. I come from a good home. Who do you think is ready to leave?
Take one marker.
With the adoption of a second child, Nicole and Tom's two-career household is now a two-kid home.
How do you balance all this?
With great difficulty. Yeah. You race home from the set to give them their bath, to put them to bed, to feed them, to read the book, Winnie the Pooh, and then you fall into bed.
Where's Tom in all this?
oh, he's in there too. I mean, it's like, you know, here, okay, get the meal, or let's, okay, now bath time, okay, you grab one, you dry one. I mean, it's sort of a juggling act.
What's the last thing you got in a fight about? Not a huge, big fight, but what's the last thing you kind of like?
Nothing that I'm going to tell you.
You topped our 1995 best dress list.
Oh, that's right.
And
I did.
well deserved.
Thank you.
Did that surprise you?
Totally, yes.
Oh, come on.
No, it did. I mean, this exactly wouldn't rate, would it?
Yes, it would. That's so hip. What do you hope for in 1996?
The great thing about this business is that no one ever knows anything. Everything's unpredictable, and you never quite know, and you can never tell what the future's going to be. And that's really exciting to me.
She gets to be voted best dressed, and Tom Cruise as her husband makes you just want to say no fair. Anyway, it's easy to see why Tom and Nicole are hooked on each other. But what about the rest of us? Do Americans as a people still believe in romance? Who is our favorite couple? Have you ever stopped what you were doing and asked yourself, where does Newt Gingrich rank among the sexiest men alive? The answers to these and other burning questions are in the first People Yankelovich Pop Monitor poll, the most up-to-date survey of pop culture ever. For example, what song did People readers find themselves singing in the shower this year? Here's what some of our more well-known readers thought.
I haven't liked a song since before 1947.
My favorite song of the year is You Ought to Know. And I ought to know because it's my favorite song. Of course, I can't pronounce the lovely lady who sings it. I could if I took my time. Alanis Morissette. Whew, dang.
I'll be seeing you in all the old familiar places.
The most annoying song of this year is Alanis Morissette. I'm here to remind you. What did he leave her?
Well, that's what they thought. What did you think? Let's look at the results. At number 5, country music Shania Twain asks, whose bed have your boots been under? Boyz II Men is number 4 with Thank You. Mariah Carey and Fantasy take the number 3 spot. Runner-up Tim McGraw did I Like It, I Love It. And David Letterman's faves, Hootie and the Blowfish, are number 1 with I Only Want to Be With You.
I only want to be with you.
Coming up, the real Mary Tyler Moore at home and the sexiest man alive when the People Yearbook 95 continues.
This program is sponsored by J.C. Penney. Doing it right.
Doing it right. J.C. Penney.
Holiday gifts from Hunt Club are always in good taste.
We're doing holiday colors. Trimming more best. Doing cozy sweaters. Looking our best.
Casual clothes from Hunt Club make great holiday gifts.
J.C. Penney.
The value leader.
Doing it right.
J.C. Penney opens early Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. for your holiday shopping convenience.
This holiday, Batman is back on video.
Woo!
The Riddler is dressed in his holiday best, and they just might drop in at your house.
Now, that's impressive.
Batman Forever, the perfect holiday gift.
Okay, Dad, I can take it from here. Can I use the computer now? Got it, Dad. Okay, Dad, I can handle it, Dad. Okay, son. Earth to Dad. Dad, no.
The compact Presario. Has it changed your life yet?
I look at you and I see myself.
I look at you and I see my world.
As long as we're together, time can't touch us.
Eternity for Men. Calvin Klein. This holiday edition, a $77 value, now yours for a $55 suggested retail price.
Tylenol was always around, so I always used it. I mean, you know, for all the things that you use Tylenol for. But my mother said she's always giving out medical advice. She said to relieve headaches, you should take Excedrin. It's better than Tylenol. She was right. Major bonding experience with Mom. I mean, plus, I got something that's better for headaches. I mean, what more could you want out of life?
Excedrin, the headache medicine.
All the latest news and weather.
Plus actors Richard Harris and James Earl Jones.
And America's favorite authors.
Tomorrow on the all-new CBS This Morning.
Will a holiday romance
I got you a gift.
turn a boy into a man?
Maybe I can show you around.
Or just lead to trouble?
We have to find him.
An all-new Dr. Quinn. Then, can Randy Travis find the faith to stop a con man?
She's not an angel.
Don't talk yourself out of a miracle, Wayne.
Touched by an Angel, Saturday. He was a member of an elite military team.
Sometimes you have to push a little bit to make an impression.
He faced the enemy in battle.
20 years in the Navy, I think I can recognize a war zone.
Now, after 20 years, he's facing his greatest challenge. He's going back to school.
It's about being a teacher. That's what I came here for.
This is not the military.
We all have to take responsibility for how we shape our lives. This isn't a game, people. This is what it's all about.
Montel Williams is Matt Waters. Series premiere Wednesday, January 3rd.
Whether you're famous or unknown, destiny plays no favorites. Acts of nature and acts of man and woman happen by no plan, or at least none that we've ever figured out. This year witnessed the uplifting example of a very mortal Superman and the explosive wreckage of hatred in the heartland. They're all part of life, and that means they're all part of people.
The story that really touched me this year was Baby Richard, because while it was sparking off this national debate about whether biological parents or adoptive parents should have the kid, nobody sat down in court and said, wait a minute, there is a very real 4-year-old child. Smart, cute, got a whole life in front of him. What's best for him?
I think why this resonates with the public is there is no clear answer. This is very different from the Susan and David Smith case in which it was so clear-cut and emotional. I mean, there was no way that you could be on any other side than to just be absolutely horrified at what this woman had done.
I think one of the most affecting stories we did this year in People magazine was the story about George McGovern and his 45-year-old daughter who died of alcoholism in the snow. And a few months later, George McGovern sat down with a People reporter and gave us his thoughts inside of the story, and it was a tremendously moving story because it was a famous person talking about something that connected them to the average person. It was that lesson once again that just because you're famous and powerful and important doesn't mean you don't have the problems that so-called average people do.
I think Christopher Reeve showed America that the most important thing about facing a tragedy is courage and not feeling sorry for yourself.
And he's great enough to even make fun of himself. I mean, when he made his first public appearance, Robin Williams was making fun of the wheelchair, and he was making fun of himself. I mean, he's incredible. Amazing.
That smile on Christopher Reeve's face is nothing short of inspiring. The chance to report on big stories like Christopher Reeve and Susan Smith is one reason a lot of us women got into the news business. Another reason is we all wanted to be Mary Richards with that terrific job and the great gang at work. As Mary Tyler Moore revealed in her book, parts of which first appeared in People, her character was a hard model to live up to. When we visited her in her Hudson Valley home, she read an imaginary scene from her book where totally together Mary Richards meets ordinary person MTM.
You know I'm very fond of you. You know that, don't you? Mary. Yeah, well, sure. MTM. I mean, I'm writing this autobiography in which I have to be truthful about the way I look at things, where I've been, how I feel, all the stuff that will finally show how unlike you I really am. Mary. So, MTM. Look, people love you. And now they're going to find out that I'm not you, that all the time they were watching the show and wishing they were you, so was I. There was a little neighborhood dance school in Hollywood where I moved from Brooklyn with my family at age 9. It was the Ward Sisters Studio of Dance Arts. And while I was up on stage performing, and the one who'd play the piano would look up at me and shout, "Smile, Mary, smile," because I'd be dancing grim-faced, determined to get it right. And I wonder if she was the one responsible for the smile that people talk about today.
From dance school to a chorus girl in commercials,
I'm Happy Housewife.
the funny girl inside Mary was waiting to be discovered. Carl Reiner, creator of the Dick Van Dyke Show, saw something special.
He must have seen some comedic spark, but he was really looking to cast a straight man, straight woman for Dick Van Dyke. He began making the straight man a little curvy. So more and more as the years went on, he would allow me to be funny.
America was ready for Mary to step out on her own. The Mary Tyler Moore Show gave us a new kind of heroine, a woman in charge of her own life.
You know what? You got spunk.
Well,
I hate spunk.
After the Mary Tyler Moore Show, Mary took a chance and stepped completely out of character.
I don't remember ever wanting anything so much as I did that role. Ward, you tell me the definition of happy, huh? But first you better make sure that your kids are good and safe. That no one's fallen off a horse, or been hit by a car, or drowned in that swimming pool you're so proud of.
Later, life tragically repeated Art when Mary lost her only child.
The movie came before my son's death. And, I don't think I would have been able to play the role if it had been the reverse. I don't see how I could possibly have done it.
Today, as Mary looks at her make-believe and real family, she is quite frank about which family got the most attention.
I was so busy being Larry Matthews' mother on the Dick Van Dyke Show that my own son might just as well have been Larry's stand-in for all the attention he got. Yes, I feel rotten about that. For him and for me, too.
Now, as America's grown-up dream girl, Mary has a new husband, a new house in the Hudson Valley, and a new respect for life.
Come here, Dad. I am very much concerned about animals and the way in which we treat them. I've been able to commit myself to vegetarianism because of that. That's where I draw the line. I won't eat anything with a face. Mary, we all did the best we could at the time. So just write what comes to you and be candid while you tell them who you are. And if they don't like it, to hell with them. MTM. You know what? You got spunk.
Bless you, Mary Tyler Moore, for showing us how to keep on no matter what hand life deals you. And life dealt some tough hands this year, ones that you will never forget, according to the People Pop Monitor poll. From the tragedy in Bosnia, through a year of O.J., to death in the dark waters of a South Carolina lake. Which story affected you most deeply?
I think the Oklahoma bombing, I think it impacted the whole country. I remember, to this day where I was and who I was talking to the second when it just came on the TV. And it's something that you remember, I think, forever.
In some respects, that was one of the sad events that brought us together as a country.
Terrorism always seemed to be something that happened somewhere else to somebody else, and here it is hitting the heartland of our country and done, apparently, by a fellow American.
For me, it wasn't who did it. It was the fact that something like that happened, that another person could do that, regardless of where they were from or who they were. It's just, to make a conscious choice to actually destroy people and lives and families is beyond comprehension.
America, you agreed with our guests. From all the stories this year, the one that moved us the most was written on the saddest spring morning in the history of Oklahoma.
What happened? Just a blast. No, out, get back!
I've been around a little bit. I've been newspapering probably close to 30 years. I've written 1 million words, maybe more in my lifetime, but never in my life were words harder to write.
It was like I was dreaming. I wasn't really seeing what I was seeing. This wasn't really happening.
You can look at every picture that's ever been taken, until you're standing there, you can't even believe what it's like.
Oklahoma, in one murderous moment, a peaceful city became a valley of death and destruction that tore apart so many families. Rebecca Anderson, a nurse and a mother of 4, was one of the hundreds of volunteers who just wanted to help. When word of the bombing reached her, she rushed to the scene.
Sometimes you had to
pull her back. Sometimes she got a little overjubilant about getting involved.
As she joined in the rescue effort, Rebecca was struck on the head by falling debris. She was rushed to the hospital, where doctors removed a blood clot from her brain.
And she never got any better. So I went and prayed about it. And then I went and told her, says, you fought hard enough.
I just wake up and hope everything changed, but it never happens.
In loving memory of Rebecca Anderson, have you ever known someone that always gave so much? She could comfort a hurting child
with just her gentle touch. Memories of Rebecca Anderson will live on inside each one of the people of Oklahoma.
Her husband, her daughters, and sons.
When the bomb exploded on the north side of the building, it ripped apart a daycare center where 21 children were starting their day. As parents tried to find their kids, news of the dead began to circulate. All that Claudia and Jim Denny could do was pray their 2 children had made it.
One of the volunteer workers came on the television and said they have a red-headed, fair-skinned, blue-eyed 2-year-old little girl at Southwest Medical Center in surgery. And it was Rebecca, because there's only one.
I could not find a place on her that didn't have a bruise or a cut on her to even touch her. She just looked at me and she said, "Would you pick me up?"
Come on, honey, come on.
Miraculously, Rebecca had no internal injuries. Her brother Brandon was not so lucky. He was found with a quarter-sized hole in his head. After more than 100 days in the hospital and many surgeries, Brandon now spends 3 days a week in therapy at the Health South Rehab Center in Oklahoma City. Although doctors couldn't predict if Brandon would ever speak again, he recently brought joy to his family with his first words since the blast.
Baby.
Very good.
It seems every time we turn around with Brandon, it's another miracle. And I don't use that word lightly. This is what we believe. Brandon is a total miracle of life. And so is Rebecca.
I love you. And give me a hug.
For several days, there were still children missing. Dolores Watson never lost hope that her grandson was alive.
One of the volunteers came down and she said, "With the family of P.J. Johnson, please come to the 4th floor surgical unit." And when we said, "P.J. Johnson, that has to be our P.J." So we went upstairs and she said, "Is that your little girl back there?" We said, "Little girl?" And at that point, I mean, we were so frantic. Boy, girl, whatever you've got back there, we'll take.
PJ was covered with 2nd and 3rd degree burns, and his lungs were charred in the blast.
I spent a lot of time praying. I spent a lot of time just thanking God that he's alive.
PJ must breathe through a tube connected to his chest. 6 times a day, he takes medication to clear his lungs. And to avoid scars, he cannot go into the sunlight for 2 whole years.
So that led to an alternative that Dolores and I discussed as to build him a room that he could have where he could play. And that would be his outdoors, indoors. I am angered. Every time I look at PJ, every time I hear PJ gasping for breath, I can't imagine anybody doing anything to anyone on that level, and especially kids.
We'll return with more from this incredible year.
Coming up, an intimate look at the first family when the People Yearbook continues. New from Ultima 2.
Madly, the fragrance that works with your own personal chemistry.
So it's madly different on every woman who wears it. Madly, new from Ultima 2. The Madly Bear is your gift with any Ultima 2 fragrance purchase at JCPenney.
Okay, let's meet at Red Lobster in an hour.
It's Red Lobster's ultimate feast. All your favorites on one plate. Rock lobster, roasted shrimp, fried shrimp, and snow crab. Hurry, the ultimate feast ends soon. Happy holidays from Red Lobster.
If interest rates are down and stocks are volatile, where should you invest?
Well, with the volatility of the stock market, I'm not sure. Space.
Sometimes life calls for deeper answers. That's why there's CompuServe. No online service has more informed user groups, more comprehensive databases, and better access to the internet. Enter CompuServe. Call for free software and 10 free hours online.
The Christmases weren't white where I grew up, but when our family got together, you didn't care. Billy and I'd watch the sky till our eyelids were lead. He'd say, "How will he do it if we don't have a chimney?" Well, we've got the snow now, but when I see the joy in my kids, it takes me right back there to the cactus.
Show what you feel with a holiday bouquet from the FTD Expressions Collection. FTD, the language of the heart.
Got any Tylenol, Mike? No, but I've got this. Oh, no thanks. My doctor says ibuprofen can interfere with my high blood pressure medication.
My dad uses these, and he takes medicine for his blood pressure.
My doctor told me to use Tylenol. I mean, it works great, and he says it's safer for me.
Wonder if my dad knows this.
If you're using ibuprofen, Tylenol may be better for you. Talk to your doctor.
Look, I'll see you in 8 hours, and I'll bring some Tylenol for your dad.
And you take this woman to be your wedding wife?
Excuse me. I'm sorry. Sorry. Excuse me. I'm sorry. I can't let you do this. It just isn't natural. Nice and easy. 103. It works with your own tones and highlights, so the color looks totally natural. That's right. And nice and easy. It's fade resistant, so even if your marriage doesn't last, your color will. For natural-looking color that lasts and lasts. You love it? I do. It's nice and easy to be natural from Clairol.
Tonight, Martin Short gets snappy with Dave.
Hey, lady!
Plus, Baking Madness with Bev. Tomorrow, Harrison Ford and Bruce Springsteen.
When it counts to be first in, first with a story, first at ground zero with our troops, the CBS News team is there. Now, as the Bosnian peace treaty is signed in Paris, and as America's commitment moves into high gear, we'll have complete coverage and a talk with President Clinton. Dan Rather, Mission Bosnia. The story continues tomorrow on the CBS Evening News.
When terrorism comes to a small town, it hits too close to home.
My own daughter plants a bomb.
I'm guilty.
Picket Fence is back at its original time, Friday.
Most of us like to believe that true love is forever, and the People Pop Monitor bears this out. The top 3 romantic couples are all longtime loves. Former White House lovebirds George and Barbara Bush are number 3. Bruce and Demi weigh in at number 2, proving that true love dies hard. And numero uno, Paul Newman and Joanne Woodward. On the other hand, for lovelorn celebs from Princess Di to Christy Brinkley, the love theme of this year could have been change partners and dance.
It's very difficult to find a hot romance this year. The splits are much hotter.
Definitely the year of the big splits.
What was interesting about this year was the splits were not the really predictable ones. It wasn't like Drew Barrymore, whose marriage didn't work out. What a surprise. It was Tommy Lee Jones getting divorced after 18 years, and even Val Kilmer, and who else?
Emma Thompson and Ken Branagh.
Right.
That was kind of weird because they seemed very perfect together.
If this was a year of big splits, of course Liz Taylor had to be involved.
Well, it's about time. Liz needs to plan a wedding every, 5 or 6 years, so she's got to start on the next one, have to get rid of the old husband.
Well, the interesting thing was that Larry walked away from that and in a couple of weeks was back on the construction sites working for $20 an hour and happy to be doing that. So he's seeking happiness in his own way.
So, Sarah, who's the sexiest man on earth?
I'd have to say JFK Jr. Can we discuss, am I the only person that thinks Ray Fiennes is hands down the sexiest man alive?
Yeah.
Oh, you cannot ignore Brad Pitt.
Thank you much.
He is
definitely the sexiest man alive. Right, my favorite movie of his, though, is still Thelma and Louise, just for the ass. Oh, yeah.
I don't know, you know, I think Antonio Banderas is pretty sizzling in that Desperado movie.
And I think that one moment where he, like, blew off Madonna because of this wife who nobody knew, she wasn't particularly beautiful or famous, but he loved her, that made him unbelievably sexy.
George Clooney looks
great.
He looks
I don't know. He holds the screen, you stare at him, you just want to gaze. He's a gazer.
All right, America, it's time for People Readers to pick the sexiest man alive. But first, a few opinions from some people who have appeared in People.
JFK Jr.
You want to know who the sexiest man alive is? My partner, Jimmy Smits. He's a beautiful human being and a very attractive man. If I do say so myself. Second best to me. All right?
You're looking at him, baby.
Now listen up as we see how the readers of People ranked a list of America's most famous males, proving once again that politics makes strange, or at least not super desirable bedfellows. Newt Gingrich is well down the sexy list at 54. Bugs Bunny is nearly 20 points higher at 33. And the top three are Brad, John Jr., and Mel. After great looks, the next most important thing is good clothes, which is why People's Best and Worst Dressed issue is such an annual institution. To find out what America thinks about the life and death fashion issues of our times, we sent supermodel Veronica Webb into the Lion's Den.
Hi, I'm Veronica Webb, supermodel and guest fashion expert for People magazine. This is the hottest fashion event in America, New York's Fashion Week, where the rich and famous come to find out what to wear. I asked the fashion obsessed what they thought of People's Best and Worst Dressed list. Let's just take a quick look at the cover. What do you think of Pamela Sue? Interesting.
Who?
The best rest? No, not the best breast. That's a great outfit. George Clooney.
Good looking. I don't like his Caesar haircut.
Oprah?
Oprah's gorgeous.
Oprah.
I'll talk about Oprah.
Yeah.
Hello, she looks amazing.
So you were on People's Best Dressed list of 1995.
It's nice to know that if I'm going to go on the MTV Awards or something like that, I do take time thinking about what to wear. So it's nice to know that people approved.
Designer Todd Oldham got 2 outfits on the cover of this year's Best Worst issue. Jodie Foster's MTV Awards ensemble landed him a Best Dressed nod, while Fran Drescher's outfit got Worst Dressed honors.
Well, I adore Fran. She's good fun, she's hysterical, and she's brave.
Which 3 people would you most like to dress?
Well, Natasha Richardson, because I think she's really beautiful and really talented. Emma Thompson, I'd love to dress her, because she has such an opportunity, you know. She could be so fabulous. And who's the third? Harrison Ford, I must say.
And how do you think somebody could avoid being on the worst dressed list?
Well, you could spend a little time in New York, stay away from California, Los Angeles. Don't go out if you have no style. Stay home.
That's what I would do. I would just stop going out entirely.
I wore this tonight. I'm sure they're going to make fun of me and say that I look like, I don't know.
So pay attention, Hollywood. We're watching you.
Something else that people are watching is Friends. The hit TV show has influenced America's haircuts, clothes, and Lord knows other TV shows. Tonight, People visits the home of Courtney Cox to ask, where does your character Monica end and the real Courtney begin? Courtney Cox has had a great year. This spring, People named her one of the 50 most beautiful people. And as one of the Friends, she's on this year's top-rated show. But she's finding that being a celebrity also means her personal life becomes very public.
The thought that people think that I'm too thin frightens my mother. I guess she has to go to the grocery store and have all the Southern women say, well, is she okay? And maybe from the side I look thin, but if you get a good view from the front, I've always thought of myself more as a big, wide load. I grew up in Birmingham, Alabama. I was the youngest of 4 kids. When you grow up in Alabama, becoming an actress is not really an option.
So Courtney moved to New York and got her big break when Bruce Springsteen pulled her on stage in his Dancing in the Dark video.
And I walked into Brian De Palma's office, and he put the tape on and said, will you dance? And I said, are you dancing with me? And he said, no. So I just stood up and kind of just, you know, embarrassedly just kind of moved for a little bit. And I guess that pathetic dancing is what got me the job.
In 1987, she was cast in Family Ties.
I didn't mean to kiss you. I was helping you with the papers and your lips got in the way.
Family Ties is where I think I learned everything. I didn't know what I was doing. I was like 22.
It's okay. This is really interesting stuff. You'll hardly be able to put it down.
I think that was the year that I actually understood and got what acting was about.
Today, she lives in Santa Monica with her 2 dogs.
Come here, dogs. Now, this is Mac and Rags. Come here. This is Rags.
And when not on the set, she likes to putter around the house.
I hung the chandelier. I hung that chandelier, and I hung the one in the hallway.
Her real-life friends say Courtney bears more than a striking resemblance to control freak Monica.
All right, people, we're in trouble here. We've only got 12 hours and 36 minutes left. Move, move, move!
Monica, I feel like you should have German subtitles.
This is control thing, and this neat thing's getting way out of hand. I'm coming off like the biggest, obsessive nutcase ever. And the only reason why I do things myself is that, first of all, I used to have the time to do it, but also, it's just so much easier to try to do something yourself first.
While we love her as Monica, the producers originally saw her as Rachel.
Now, in retrospect, we look back, we realize what a great thing that I played Monica and Jennifer Aniston played Rachel. So it worked out for the best. And I am Monica, there's just no question.
My prediction for 96, the friends all graduate from TV and go their separate ways as budding movie stars. Poll fans, here are 3 more answers from our Pop Monitor poll.
Family life in the first family and the legacy of the Grateful Dead coming up. This program is sponsored by J.C. Penney, doing it right.
Doing it right. J.C. Penney.
Holiday gifts from Hunt Club are always in good taste.
We're doing holiday colors, trimming more vests, doing cozy sweaters, looking our best.
Casual clothes from Hunt Club make great holiday gifts.
J.C. Penney.
The value leader.
Doing it right.
J.C. Penney opens early Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. for your holiday shopping convenience.
Hey, there are more presents to open.
Okay, Dad.
The compact Presario. Has it changed your life yet?
This holiday season, give him the Gillette Sensor XL with protective microfins. The best you can give, the best a man can get.
The People Yearbook 95 will continue.
It's 2 hours of mystery with conspiracy, kidnapping, and murder, and all the clues lead to Jessica.
I have been subpoenaed, jailed. I'm currently evading a process.
The feds won't stop till they get their woman.
She's got to catch me.
The Hunter becomes the Hunted with back-to-back episodes of Murder, She Wrote, Thursday. A baffling murder, a mute witness. That child's been abused emotionally and physically. And a concerned doctor whose diagnosis is murder. Friday.
This is CBS.
Come to Bi-Mart and get something for everyone's holiday, like Rustler brand men's jeans from Wrangler. Rustler jeans are made to last and now just $8.88 a pair. The Sony Walkman AM/FM stereo cassette player has auto reverse and it's just $27.77. Or choose from assorted Toastmaster appliances, including a Cool Touch Belgian waffle baker, a 4-slice toaster, and more. Just $18.88 each. These are just a few of the big savings in your newest Bi-Mart Holiday Membership Bulletin. Special prices and December 17th at Bi-Mart.
Come to Valley River Center for the holidays. Find the latest, greatest gifts and we're right on your way. We've got 144 stores. That's everything on your list. This ain't a place to be missed. So come to VRC where you can park for free. For Valley River Center, we're the place to be. Valley River Center is the place to be.
This is a Northwest News Update.
Good evening, I'm Randall Whipple. Coming up at the top of the hour, a Lane County jury has decided whether Michael Hayward should live or die for his role in the beating death of a Eugene convenience store clerk. We'll have the verdict. Governor Kitzhaber and state emergency officials get an aerial view of damage from Tuesday's powerful storm. And Eugene police tonight are questioning a man in a fatal stabbing. In sports, the Ducks take to the court, and another storm's on the way. Please join us at 11.
Reading Cross is open through Christmas Eve with more than ever before, and lots of gifts are now on sale.
Which gets your dishes cleaner, a gel or a powder? Find out tomorrow morning on Northwest News.
This is the season when we all try, at least for a few weeks, to think about more than earning a living and getting by. It's a time for family things, and in keeping with the yearly tradition, people caught up with the family side of life in the White House. Managing editor Lanny Jones visited with Hillary Clinton for a fireside chat.
You and Chelsea had a wonderful mom and daughter trip this past spring. Could you tell us a little about that and what you learned about her, maybe?
That was one of the greatest times we've ever had together. I had never been to South Asia, and we were able to spend just some wonderful time traveling through the countrysides, of standing at the Taj Mahal together and looking at it through the eyes of a younger girl when she used to think of it as kind of a castle for a fairy princess. And for me personally, it enhanced the trip so much to be able to share what I was learning with her, but also to see through her eyes, the eyes of an American teenager. And I wish that I could have just embraced every American teenager as I was able with my own daughter, and to say, know more about the world, respect other people, but be grateful for the blessings we have at home, and don't complain so much about our own country. If there's a problem, let's work together to solve it, because we have so much to be grateful for.
Next year, when Chelsea turns 16, who at the end of the year will begin her junior year in high school, and pretty soon colleges will be around the corner. And my question is, are you really ready for the
Oh, you keep asking me painful questions. It's painful.
What I think about is the pain is the empty nest is right around the corner. This is a great opportunity and a loss at the same time.
When she was about 5 years old, she suddenly discovered that in America, when most people go to college, not everyone, but most people, they go away from home. She was just horrified. And she came running in to see us, and she goes, I never want to go to college. And, we said, well, why? And she said, I don't want to leave home. I don't want to leave you, Mommy and Daddy. Well, I said, well, let's write that down. And a couple of years ago, when she and some of her friends were talking about visiting an older sister of one of her friends at college, I said, well, now remember, honey, you don't want to go to college because you never want to leave home. And, I got one of those, oh, please, look. So she's ready, but we're not.
We all know how much you want women to be independent, but whether the president is willing for his daughter to be.
But daughters are different. Exactly.
You had a birthday party that sounded pretty exciting in the White House not too long ago. There was a square dance, and
right.
The rumor we heard was that the president wanted to come as Rhett Butler at one point.
Well, it was a surprise for me. No, that's not true. That's one of those rumors that gets started. No, it was a surprise. So I did not know until they whisked me upstairs and had these clothes laid out for me and this incredible Dolly Parton wig, which I loved wearing all night long, and my husband adored. So we had a great time. We started off with square dancing, and then we kind of lapsed into Motown. So there we were with our cowboy hats and my wig and everybody's boots, dancing all night long.
I want to see the photographs from this. I haven't seen them yet on the wire
I bet you do want to see the photographs.
Yeah. You had a wonderful summer, I thought, and your summer trip in Wyoming and Jackson Hole.
The trip to Wyoming was fabulous for us as a family. We had such a great time, but we laughed a lot because here we were in one of the most beautiful parts of America in the wilderness, and there was no way to be alone. And even when we camped out, we had, Secret Service agents behind every tree, and you have to laugh about it because otherwise you would just go crazy because you don't have any space to just take a deep breath and just be alone and just kind of kick back, just to have some sense that life is not just the pushing and the pulling and the struggle and the noise and the commotion, that there really is a broader way that all of us can stop and appreciate what we have.
Mrs. Clinton, all Americans were moved by the funeral of Prime Minister Rabin of Israel. When you talked to Mrs. Rabin, what words of condolence could you say to her wife to wife?
We had some private time with her entire family and were able to meet for the first time the children and the grandchildren. And we also told some stories. You know, we laughed about the last visit by the Prime Minister of the United States where he had to borrow a tie to get to a black tie event, and my husband had to tie it. And we laughed about how he always kidded me because he was a chain smoker and I wouldn't let him smoke in the White House, although I told him that he could break the rule if it would help Middle East peace, and he said, no, that's all right, you know. And so we told some stories about our common memories, as well as, you know, doing a lot of crying and condoling of each other.
I know you spent the last year working on your book, It Takes a Village. Is there one idea you're trying to convey in the book?
Well, the idea is really summed up in the title, that it takes a whole village to raise a child, because I don't think children are rugged individualists. Children need their families, they need the adults around them. But it's not only families that have a responsibility for children. All of us, in some way, affect the lives of children whom we may never, ever meet. People who monitor food safety or air quality or police the streets or put out magazines, they affect children. And if all of us can understand that raising children is both an individual responsibility and a mutual responsibility, I think we would translate all this talk about family values into policies that really value families. If we really value children, as we say we do, there are some things we could do in our own lives and in the lives of all of our various affiliations that could make a difference starting very soon.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Clinton. I wish you a happy holiday.
Thank you. Happy holidays to you, too.
That's a side of White House life that doesn't usually make it into the sound bites on the nightly news. When we come back, a fond visit with some old friends.
Shut up, moron. Shut up. Crankier, crabbier, and back with more than they deserve.
I am the gangster of love.
Jack Lemmon.
I think I liked you better before you were getting any.
Walter Matthau. Anne Margaret. Sophia Loren.
I'll show you my cannelloni.
Grumpier old men.
It's okay. I'm a doctor.
Well, you gotta stick with what works. Rated PG-13. Starts Friday, December 22nd at a theater near you.
Hey, what about an espresso machine?
That's hot, but what about this watch?
Cool. This.
Sweater sets are very in. I love angels.
Where will the next great movement in popular music come from?
Oh, honey, you should have asked me this a long time ago. The next one is going to be a little something like, I'll give you a little feel of it.
Sometimes life calls for deeper answers. That's why there's CompuServe. No online service has more informed user groups, more comprehensive databases, and better access to the internet. Enter CompuServe. Call for free software and 10 free hours online.
New Grand Cinnamon Rolls from Pillsbury.
They're ready.
The most enormous, ooey gooey, luscious,
Should we wake the others?
Not yet. The kids were up late.
indulgent, irresistible,
Well, what about Mr. H?
He should rest.
completely decadent cinnamon rolls ever.
Hey, aren't your parents visiting?
Let them sleep.
New Grand Cinnamon Rolls.
They're not just big, they're grand.
Hey, check this out. Cowboys. And look, Bulls, this is great. Wow, Nike stuff. Hey, this is 20% off. My wife's gonna love this. Hey, go deep.
Tonight, Martin Short gets snappy with Dave.
Hey, lady!
Plus, Baking Madness with Bev. Tomorrow, Harrison Ford and Bruce Springsteen.
The Mountie.
You ran into a burning building to save a mohair sweater.
I'm afraid it's a little singed.
The Cop.
I think he gets extra points for neatness.
And the Dog. Okay, the Wolf.
Baby.
Back and ready for action.
She wants me bad. I think she wants to kill you.
That too.
They're all headed due south. Friday. Saturday, there goes the neighborhood.
Bye!
Can Chuck Norris stop a mad bomber?
You've got to get out of here.
Or will it be a kiss before dying? Walker, Saturday.
You're on CBS.
Need to get some great gift ideas for the holidays? The Elephant's Trunk Toy Company invites you to take along a special friend and discover our quality toys. It's like a trip to Santa's workshop, Challenge the growing mind with Geo Safari learning toys. At the Elephant's Trunk, we specialize in expressions of delight. Delight someone you know with a gift from the Elephant's Trunk Toy Company in Valley River Center, Station Square, and now in Salem.
Skiing lesson number 2. Everyone likes to get new skis. Skiing lesson number 4. Always keep your knees bent. Skis Jewelers.
The Cotton Bowl Classic, New Year's Day on KDAL.
At the end of the year, it's time to focus on the final chapters written in many lives. One story that moved the editors of People was the great outpouring of emotion following the death of the young Tejano singer, Selena. If Hispanic culture wasn't on America's radar screen before Selena, the depth of feeling she aroused showed us that many Americans say farewell with the word adios.
She was a young talent that was extraordinary. To the Hispanic or Latino, it was a tremendous loss. This young woman, what she did was monumental in her lifetime because she embraced Tex-Mex music. She placed it on the map.
I could lose my heart tonight.
She was not afraid of success. And she had obtained it and was dealing with it in a very, very good way, very healthy way. And I think that people have lost a tremendous talent.
Vaya con Dios, Selena, and what a heartfelt tribute from Edward James Olmos. And now a musical tribute to just a few of the people who touched our lives by their passing in 1995.
They say every man can be replaced. They say every distance is not near. But I remember every face, every man who pulled me
Yeah, Elizabeth Montgomery was great. She's really classy.
come shining from the west down to the east.
It was a very sad and ironic death, that a man who has dedicated the last years of his life to peace, to ending terror and murder and suffering, died under those circumstances.
Any day now, any day now, I shall be
There is still another story in the People Yearbook 95. It is one that every People writer mentioned, the story of a little old lady who worked very hard and saved her pennies and did a very good thing.
My name is Osceola, O-S-E-O-L-A.
Osceola McCarty is an 87-year-old washerwoman from Hattiesburg, Mississippi. She amazed the world by creating a scholarship program at the local university with $150,000 she had saved.
We frankly didn't believe this because we didn't know who Osceola McCarty was and where did she come from and why did this happen.
Osceola never had an education. She had to quit school when she was 11 to take care of a sick relative.
I'd have stayed at home and helped my grandmother work, washing an eye.
For most of the century, Osceola took in laundry from sunrise till sundown.
Rub them, drop them over in there with the fire around them, all around the pot, and boil them.
It was hard work and low pay, but she always managed to save.
And I just didn't do nothing but work, make my money, save it up.
The first winner of an Osceola McCarty scholarship is Stephanie Bullock, an honor student from Hattiesburg High.
When I first met Miss McCarty, I just came up and gave her a big old hug and told her how grateful I was. I always knew that I was going to college, but Miss McCarty didn't even have the opportunity to go to high school. I want to make Miss McCarty proud, too. Now I'm really focused.
Local banker Paul Laughlin helped Osceola set up the scholarship fund. So far, they've received $75,000 in additional donations.
My husband and I were profoundly touched by her story reported in People magazine, and brought tears to my eyes and down my cheeks. I saw you on. This donation is in her honor. May your life be blessed.
In fact, she's affected everyone who hears her story.
There you go. There may be menial jobs, but there aren't necessarily menial people. When a person of character like she is takes on a job, she invests in that job her own character.
And how would Osceola like to be remembered?
Just trying to live right and trying to do right and help other people.
I love hearing stories like that. That really makes me think, I see, that's the kind of thing I wish they would have. That should be the front page news instead of OJ.
I agree, Drew. Definitely the feel-good story of this year. Stay with us for the rock and roll cops who save kids in the inner city.
Tonight, Martin Short gets snappy with Dave.
Hey, lady!
Plus, Baking Madness with Bev. Tomorrow, Harrison Ford and Bruce Springsteen.
New from Ultima 2.
Madly, the fragrance that works with your own personal chemistry.
So it's madly different on every woman who wears it. Madly, new from Ultima 2. The Madly Bear is your gift with any Ultima 2 fragrance purchase at JCPenney.
You know,
Huh?
I made a decision today.
Uh-huh.
I'm not going back to the office.
Great.
Relax. I didn't say I wasn't going back to work.
The compact Presario. Has it changed your life yet?
Travel provided by Continental Airlines, now among the best in the business at getting you to your destination on time.
1995, been there, done that. Before we go, we asked some of our guests to reflect on what 95 meant to them.
The year really didn't start out too well, and after Toronto, like around August, it started getting better and better, and it's been a little bit hard not being able to play the last few tournaments of the year, but it's really nice that, you know, your life is going to go up and down, but if you just keep going at it, hopefully it's going to start stirring up.
I suppose I could say something serious about my career or stature or stuff like that, but I think 95 is the year that I fell in love. Isn't that nice and corny? Yeah.
And on that happy note, we'll sing out the old year with one last editor's choice. They call them the Doo-Wop Cops, 5 veteran policemen from Washington, D.C., who brought a message of hope and harmony to kids in the tough part of town. Have a great 96.
Join Dave, the very funny Martin Short, and rock to the sounds of Dave Matthews Band tonight on The Late Show with David Letterman. Now, your local news.
Just ahead on Northwest News, the ringleader in the beating death of clerk Fran Wall is given a death sentence.
Governor Kitzhaber and state emergency officials get a view from the top of damage from Tuesday's powerful windstorm.
And a fatal stabbing in Eugene tonight. Northwest News is next.
From the combined newsrooms in Eugene, Coos Bay, and Roseburg, this is Northwest News at 11.